Building a business takes grit, resilience, and a willingness to keep climbing. Welcome to The Climb, where we sit down with local business owners to get the behind-the-scenes stories, to learn about the wins that they're most proud of, the challenges they've overcome, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Because on any climb, there's always someone ahead of you that you can learn from. There's always someone behind you that you can help. That's what this show is all about. I'm Jonathan Paulk with Peachtree Planning. At Peachtree Planning, we sit down with business owners, work hand in hand with them, whatever stage of the journey they find themselves in, whether they're just starting out, they're in the middle looking to break through the next level, or at the end looking for the exit strategy. We work with business owners to determine that their greatest asset on their personal balance sheet is their business. We help them when it comes to succession planning, to business continuity, to protecting the unexpected. Because when is the best time to prepare to protect the unexpected? It's before it happens. We like to build those relationships with business owners at whatever stage they find themselves in. Welcome to The Climb. All right, Dr. Hash, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. As you know, I like to sit down with local business owners, kind of get your story and why you chose this particular career path. I mean, because it's all about inspiring the next generation of business owners.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, tell me a little bit about yourself, and as far as where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Iran and got a degree in physics when I was a little bit more than 20 years old, and then came to the United States to study nuclear engineering. And I looked around and I found out there's a bunch of good nuclear engineering schools, Tennessee being one of them because of Oak Ridge, and Y12 being here. And also I have an aunt who was doing her postdoctorate in cancer research at Oak Ridge National Lab. And so I had an aunt here, and I also knew this was the place for nuclear engineering. So I came here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you always wanted to be a nuclear engineer?
So when I was back in Iran in the mid-1970s, we had a government ran by the king.
Right.
And he wanted to deploy nuclear energy to replace the oil so that he can sell the oil and make the money out of the oil and use nuclear energy for electricity generation. So there was a push for people like me to study nuclear engineering and go back there and run the nuclear power program of Iran.
Okay.
Then the government changed, and the policy of the government changed. Iran does have a nuclear power plants, but the policy was changed in a way that big push toward nuclear was somewhat a little bit delayed. So I stayed in the United States, and while I was a graduate student in nuclear engineering at the University of Tennessee, I started this company called AMS, which has been in business since 1977. So
going almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years. Almost 50 years. Amazing. So fast this has passed.
Did you think you would be a business owner someday?
I knew that I was going to try to do. Yes, I was sort of a risk taker, and I wanted to do well.
Right.
So I went into business for myself. I started a company with my major professor of nuclear engineering, and I was in business with him. A great man, and I learned a lot. And then a few years into the business, I asked if I could buy him out, and I did. With money I didn't have, but I took the chance that I could pay it, and I was able to pay it. And so things have worked out great. I'm very thankful. I thank God every day for life has been good, and I'm just really blessed.
So, being a new business owner, what are some of the challenges that you've overcome over the years?
I think almost everybody that you ask that question from would give you a few answers. Almost number one answer is finding good people to work for you, because you can't do everything yourself. And so That has always been a challenge even today for all businesses. Finding the good people to work for you and being able to keep them happy is a big challenge. For me, I always say the United States have some of the best people in the world, and Tennessee have some of the best people of the United States. I have some of the best people of Tennessee working for me. So it has been a challenge, but I have pretty much overcome that. For my executive team, I have an executive team that are from heaven, I feel like. And Greg Morton being one of them that you know.
Right.
And he's worked for me for probably 35 years.
Wow.
I hired him, I think, when he was a young guy.
Right out of Tennessee Tech?
Masters. You went to Tennessee Tech yourself?
My wife did.
Your wife?
I'm originally from Cookeville, so I do have a connection there.
So, yeah, and I hired him when he was a young guy, and he's stayed through thick and thin, and I think it's paying off for him.
Absolutely. As you look back over the last 50 years nearly, what are some of your proudest moments?
Well, a lot. One of which was I was able to do both business and stay academics.
Okay.
So over the years, I stayed close to science and technology. I started my company while I was getting my master's degree and our inner PhD program at UT, and then the business grew and I had to just slow that down. So I went back to school and applied to 3 different universities around the world, one in Europe, one in Canada, one in the United States. And I got accepted to all 3. I studied all 3 thinking that I will just decide which one I'm going to keep. I finished all 3 of them. So I got, I don't need it, but I got 3 doctorate degrees, one in nuclear engineering, a PhD in nuclear engineering, from Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden. And the reason I picked that is because they call that school the MIT of Europe.
Wow.
And in fact, when I was getting my degree, in commencement, I was sitting next to a guy from America, and he got his PhD in something else. And I said, why did you do that? He said, I have a PhD from MIT of America, and I wanted to have a PhD from MIT of Europe. So this is my second PhD. Then I got a PhD in computer engineering from Canada, Western University, a large school, about, I think, 50,000 students, large school. And the reason I did that is because a professor that did the areas of my thing, which is instrumentation and control for nuclear power plant, one of the famous professors of what we call INC in nuclear, was there. So that's why I went to Canada. But I also wanted diversity of countries and diversity of degrees. And the last one is a Doctor of Engineering, which I got from Lamar University in Texas. And the reason I did that is because I started my education at Lamar University in Texas because my brother, who now works for me, was in Texas at Lamar University. And I started there, but in electrical engineering. But then I changed. I came to UT and went to nuclear. But I went back there because one of my professors that I love was still not retired. So I went back there and finished with him because I really liked him. And I was very glad that he was there still to help me get my doctorate degree. They didn't offer a PhD. They offered a Doctor of Engineering degree, which is actually what MIT does. I think MIT does. I think they don't do PhD in engineering. They're Doctor of Engineering in engineering. So that's probably one of the proudest things I have.
Sounds like you're a lifelong learner.
But I tell you something, and I've said this before, if I want to operate my own cell phone, I have to ask my daughter or my son to help me. They always say, who gave you these PhDs? I tell them they don't give you PhDs because you know how to operate a cell phone. Plus, the young generation are so good with this new technology. I probably can figure things out, but I just don't have time.
That's where you hire the right people to figure that out for you, right?
Such as Greg Morton. So no, I got some very qualified. Greg is being one of them. I have another guy that's just as good called Brent Shoemaker. I got a marketing manager that's amazing called Ryan O'Hagan. I got another guy with a PhD in electrical engineering from Tennessee Tech, actually.
Oh.
His name is Chad Kiger, Dr. Chad Kiger, we call him. And he is my director of EMC services and things. So, and then some other people. I have another guy that's amazing, Adam Deatherage, which is also a Tennessee Tech guy. So I've really done well with Cookville.
Yes.
And so your wife knows that.
Absolutely. They're known for their engineering.
They produce good engineers.
So. My brother and sister-in-law came from tech with engineers, chemical and mechanical. So.
Very good. So I have very good experience in the tech, and also University of Tennessee, of course. And I'm an adjunct professor of nuclear engineering at the University of Tennessee. I'm sort of connected with the university, especially the nuclear engineering department. And of course, I'm very proud to be friend of the president, the chancellor of the UT, and I think UT is doing great. But Tennessee Tech is also one of the places that I really like to recruit from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you think about advice, what is some of the good advice, best advice that you got early on in your career as a business owner?
So I say this, so as you know, I do these things, podcasts and interviews, and I was the commencement speaker for the University of Tennessee College of Engineering graduation a few years ago, and I always say this as the best advice I can give to young people especially: find a good mentor. Be around people that are good mentors. And remember, there are self-appointed mentors that they think they're good and they give you unsolicited advice. Sometimes they are good. But it is very important for you to recognize that there are very good mentors that can do a lot good for you. And there are mentors that really can take it the other way. I was fortunate on both cases. My first mentors were kind of a self-appointed mentors that I didn't recognize. Well, they were like really not qualified to be my mentors. So I suffered from that, and then I found good mentors, one of which was the professor that I went to school, I went to business with, and then of course my dad. My dad was a great mentor. He didn't give me too much advice, but when he gave an advice, it always was the best. So to me, the best thing that helped me in life was a couple of good mentors that I had, and also things that hurt me was a couple of bad mentors.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like from what you've been talking about, hiring the right people, and then surrounding yourself with mentors who can pour into you and be honest and upfront with you.
Exactly. To do, yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
So what's next for AMS? What are some of the next steps?
So as you know, the nuclear industry is growing faster than ever before for several reasons. One is the demand for electricity has spiked significantly over the last 3 years or 5 years. And the U.S. administration, especially the President of the United States, President Trump, has been really supportive of nuclear energy. He has issued 4 executive orders in favor of nuclear, both to grow the nuclear, to streamline the regulations, and to do other things that promote the rise of nuclear energy in the United States. Therefore, whoever is in nuclear energy is very lucky, because this is the best time to be in nuclear energy. We are fortunate because we are in the business of maintaining the existing fleet of about 100 nuclear power plants in the United States. We work on almost all of them. We work in not only in the U.S. nuclear industry, but we service nuclear power plants in 26 countries, including the United States. So we have all the U.S. nuclear power plants almost, and we have so many that are American-made nuclear power plants in other countries. We also do non-American-made nuclear power plants. We do business in nuclear plants that are built by Russia, for example. Not many, but some. So it's a very good time to be in nuclear. I think my company is growing very fast. As I said earlier, the biggest challenge is to finding, hiring, and keeping the right personnel, because everybody is competing for that. Oak Ridge as you know, I was till a month ago, I was the national president of the American Nuclear Society. That's the largest nuclear society in the world, and I was fortunate to get elected to that job. It's a 3-year job. You come in as vice president, then you become president, then you are immediate past president. So I just finished my presidency of the American Nuclear Society, and then I'm now immediate past president. During my presidency, I sort of, I'm going to brag, I think I was a good president.
Absolutely.
Or at least they say I was, according to other people, I was one of the best presidents. But the guy who comes after me, his name is Dr. Mark Peters. He runs a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation, and he's really a great guy. So I think he's going to also be a great president of the American Nuclear Society. So it was a good time to be president of ANS. For that, I had to travel a lot to promote the American Nuclear Society and the U.S. industry and the U.S. academics. So I had to go to, I didn't have to, but I went to Japan and I was there. I went to Europe a lot. I traveled around the United States for that job, universities, industry places and all. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. But it's also a voluntary job. You don't get paid for it, but it's prestigious.
Hey, it's your way of giving back, right?
Exactly. So, and that was my way. So the fact that I've also stayed academic, because for the size of my company, because there's a lot of large multi-billion-dollar nuclear companies in the United States. For me, from Knoxville, Tennessee, and a smaller company, then I'm very happy to have my company, and I'm very fortunate. But I'm not billion-dollar company, a million-dollar company. So to become president, national president of the American Nuclear Society was a huge, in my opinion, recognition and accomplishment for me. And I thank the members of the American Nuclear Society. There's about 11,000 or 12,000 members that voted for me to become president. So
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Hash.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's the second time I've been here to see you, so hopefully we keep in touch.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us for another episode of The Climb. Until next time, see you later.
Thank you.
Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Guardian, New York, New York. Peachtree Planting of Tennessee, LLC, is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Guardian. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PASS, Guardian, or Peachtree Planting, and opinions stated are their own. 892-7329.1. Expiration May 2028.